Welcome everyone to another edition of Perfect Fit Closets webinar for Tuesday, April 12th, 2022. Today we'll be talking about how to add decorations, how to add lighting, and how to build a Hutch style cabinetry. I've got my closet catalog open under their local browser, and I'll pick our Perfect Fit Canada USA catalog. I've got my top view as well as my elevation view, and I've made some labeling. Let's build our Hutch style cabinetry. Now, typically, a lot of our dealers like to add a Hutch style cabinetry where the lower cabinetry is a different depth than the upper cabinetry. So here's a couple of different styles to showcase. I'm gonna grab my modules, I'll grab my tall module, I'll drag it into my elevation view. I see my magnet, go to my farthest left and let go of my mouse. Another window will populate. I'm gonna right click on the illustration. I'll keep it at the same current default height, and I'll make this one 24 inches wide. Panel on left's gonna be half drilled. I'm gonna make the end panel, this panel an end panel. We'll click on OK, and we'll drop it in like so, and we'll add another one beside it. I see my magnet, let go of my mouse, and right click on the illustration, and we'll keep the same thing, 24 inches wide, and we're going to panel on left, remove that. We're going to share the current panel, and we're going to make the right panel an end panel. So we'll make this one half drilled. We'll click on OK, drop it in, and I've got my two modules in place. So let's go ahead and start populating our modules. I'll grab my cleat, drop it in, and a second cleat here. I'm going to add some drawers. Let's grab a let's grab an 8mm 12-inch high drawer front and drawer box, and we'll add a few of them in here like so. Just left click, magnet, let go of my mouse, and we'll just drop it in. So all I'm doing is left click, drag it into my elevation, see my magnet, and let go of my mouse. And we'll do it 2 more times. And we're going to go into our parts, shelves, shelf fixed, drag it in. I see my magnet, let go of my mouse, and drop it in as a half overlay. So there's a mistake on some of our dealers that have been dropping our shelf right about here, but we want to go down one hole and drop it in right below or right behind the drawer front. So it's a half overlay. And drop it one hole down, half overlay. If I zoom in, you can see the drawer front. It's a half overlay above the fixed shelf and the panel. And we can go ahead and start populating it and putting some adjustable shelves, like so. And I can even it out. Just using my hotkey with my line-to-line annotations. Even this out ever so slightly. And we're about even right about there. I also like to do my line-to-line annotations on our drawer fronts so that your client does know exactly all the necessary schematics. Again, line to line, from the very top to the very bottom. Keep it all in the same orientation, top to bottom. Therefore, all the schematics will be all in line. If I go from bottom to top, my orientation for my line to line is different and it goes the other way. Keep it all the same, and I like to typically do it from top to bottom. We'll find our install height. And we're going to take a note and indicate that these panels are half drilled. And I'm going to select all, copy, click on OK, and we'll do it again. And I'm going to click on the actual note, click on it again. I see a squiggly line. I'm going to hold it down with my mouse and just change the orientation. Left click twice, get a little squiggly button, change the orientation, and I'm going to advise the client and the installer that these panels are half drilled. So what's great about this system is that this is our standard closet system, 14 inches deep, and then with the actual front to the back clearance is 14 3/4. So that's the first style, and that's our typical cabinetry that we like to actually use. Now, there are instances where the client would like a deeper or even a bigger drawer box section. Instead of 14 inches deep, we can also make our cabinetry so that the lower cabinetry is deeper than the upper cabinetry. So here's going to be a Hutch style in our second version. I'm going to go on our categories, our modules, and I'm going to grab a tall module. I'm going to drag it into my elevation. I see my magnet, go to my farthest working left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration, and we're going to click on the down button. We're going to make this a little bit lower. Let's try for about, let's go about 38 inches, 38 and 9/16. This is currently one opening. The depth, instead of 14 inches, let's make it to either 19 or 24. So let's try 19. This is going to be 19 inches deep. And the opening width, let's make this 24. Now I have holes on the inside as well as the outside. I'm going to make these one half drilled on the left and half drilled on the right. We have a clean face on the outside. We'll click on OK. And we're just going to drop this in. Let's actually extend this ever so slightly here. I'm going to right click on the T mod, click on up and down. Instead of manually dropping it down with my actual mouse and my little cursor here, I'm going to go right here to my placement area on the left-hand side. I'm going to deselect bottom. I'm going to delete 69 3/4, hit the backspace. I'm going to type in 0 and enter on my keyboard. And I know 100% that this module is 0 inches from the bottom. It goes right to the floor. You can see from the top view, this is 19 inches deep. I'm going to encompass this little tall module that's lower. And I'm going to click on my modules, tall modules, drag it in. I see my magnet, go to my farthest working left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration. I'm going to make the panel on the left half drilled, and I'm going to make this one 24 inches wide, like so. End panel, and everything else is drilled. Click on OK. And we're going to butt it against my lower here. I'm going to do the same thing on the right side of the lower. I see my magnet, go to my farthest working left, let go of my mouse. Right click on the illustration, we'll do the same thing, 24 inches wide. Panel on the right, we're going to have it half drilled, that's an end panel. We'll click on OK and drop it to the right side. I have not shared the panels. We only want to share panels if it's the same depth. If we have different depths, different applications, we always want to have and create our own box system individually. I can see here on the right and lefts that it's 14 inches deep. Grab our labels, panel half drilled, click on it twice. I see my squiggly line, hold down my mouse button, and we will label this that this is also half drilled. Do it again. Left click once, twice, change the orientation, and I know that this one is also panel half drilled, and we'll do it 2 more times. We always want to label which panels are half drilled. This is fantastic for your installer, so the installer knows exactly what parts and pieces go to which locations. Click that twice, change the orientation, and drag it in. We have panel half drilled on the farthest left, panel half drilled on the farthest right, as well as these panels here. These panels definitely have to be half drilled because if not, we're actually going to see the holes. So if this was fully drilled, we're going to see those holes right on the outside here on the top view. We want to avoid that, and that's why that it's called half drilled. We have a clean face. Next, to build your Hutch style, we can click on our categories, parts, and we can just start building. Grab my cleats, like so. put a cleat in the back. So, and let's now grab our drawers. So we're going to grab our drawers. We'll do the exact same thing. Grab our pre-assembled 8mm drawer box, and we'll put it into our lowers. Do it 2 more times. And 1 more. If I do my math right, I believe I should have enough space for another, which I do. So now I have my drawers. We have to add shelves at the very top now. I can't put a module on top of another module. So I put a module on the farthest left and farthest right. And you can see that we all have our own individual panels. I'm going to go into my categories, parts, shelves, and we'll grab a shelf fixed, drag it in, and I'm going to join these two together. Go in my parts, cleats. And now what I'm going to do is I can actually populate this with other things. So shelves, shelf fixed. Let's put another shelf fixed right here. Make them all symmetrical. I can now add adjustable shelves, drawers, whatever I'd like. It's not really recommended to have drawers right here in the bottom left and the bottom right. We already have drawers to make it a Hutch style cabinetry. And we'll just populate it with more shelves. So, and now we're going to populate the middle. The middle, we'll grab another adjustable shelf. We'll put 2 up here. And last but not least, for this Hutch style, I want to create a top. So we're going to click on our categories, parts, and at the very bottom of parts, we have pleats, toe kicks, valances, backs, horizontal backs, doors, and now we have tops and fillers. I'm going to left click top, I'm going to drag it in, and I'm going to drop it right above the lower cabinetry here. All tops are going to be 1.5 inches thick. If I want to save costs and charge the customer less, because we really don't need a 1.5 inch thick top. So for cost efficiency wise, if we want to make that half the size, we're going to right click on the top, click on tops, and go to features and options. In features and options, I know it's currently selected. It's highlighted in green. And if I scroll down, I know that one top is selected. Let's change the properties. It's currently all in white, and the thickness is 1.5. If I click on 1.5 underneath option code, I can now change the 3/4 inch thickness. I can change it right here, where my cursor is, or I can select the drop-down button in my option code and select 3/4 thickness here as well. And click on that. We'll click on OK. And if we right-click it again and go into attributes, we can see the properties. Another dialog box appears, and we can see now the width, the height, and now the depth. We can go to variables. In our variables, we can see that the default will always have a 1-inch overhang in the front. We always typically want to have an overhang, either in the left, right, and front, but in this application, only the front will apply because we have existing modules on the left and right. Now that we're finished our Hutch style cabinetry, we're going to go ahead and populate some lights and plants and decorations. So I'm going to right click on this line and I'm going to auto dim the lines that I don't need. So I need everything else. We'll keep it the way it is. I'm going to click on my view and cloud browser. So view and cloud browser, it's selected, and now I have my cloud browser. I'm going to just type in plant. And I love to add some greenery to my designs. Adding greenery and adding any decorations will certainly add to the curb appeal. I love selecting this aloe vera plant, just my personal favorite. I'm going to drag it in. It will work for the top view as well as the elevation view. So let's add it into the top view. I'm going to drop it into the right here, and I can drop that aloe vera plant onto my top view. And again, you can actually do it right into the elevation view. I'm going to drop it right here on the left. We'll drag it in, off screen, drop, and drop that in. Right click, up and down, and my placement. I want it 0 inches right to the ground. Hit enter. And now I have my aloe vera plant. Let's add a couple other decorations just to give you an idea. we can type in shirts as an example. Let my cloud browser populate. And I love adding these folded shirts here. So we can grab a folded shirt, drag it into my elevation view. I'm now off screen. Let go of your mouse. And now I have my shirt. And now I can go ahead and start dropping it in. I'll drop it in like so. Right click, up and down. And I can tell the program where I want this shirt. Like so. And let's go ahead and let's maybe add a painting. Paintings are my other favorite that I like to do. So we'll grab a painting. We'll grab, just choose one at random. Let's choose this one here. Drag it into my elevation. I have my top screen. I'm going to let go of my mouse. Oh, and that painting is a bit too large, so I'm going to hit escape. I'll try another painting. Let's try this one right here. Drag it into my elevation. Drop. Oh, that's also too big. Just keep on going until you find the right size. Some of the items in our cloud browser, you can change the sizes, and some you cannot. Here's one. That's a nice little painting. We'll drag it in and drop where we'd like it. Right click, up and down, or drag, and place it in. So just some ideas. We can go ahead and start populating any line-to-line annotations, etc. Now that we've added our decorations, we need to add some lighting. If we click on the perspective view right now, let's take a look at what we have. And we'll let that render. The larger the project, the longer it will take to render. So I've got an incomplete area. Everything's all defaulted in white. As everybody knows, when you drag and drop any items using our closet catalog, everything's all defaulted in white, and all the accessories are all defaulted in Chrome. Now with 2020 Live, you can see that there's not much lighting, and we have to manually add our own lighting to this, and we also have to change colors and different properties to beautify this. So let's get out of our render, and let's start adding some lights and changing the color schemes and adding some handles and such. Let's go ahead and change our color schemes first, and then we'll change our lighting. We'll go to Items, Options. This brings up my Features and Options dialog box. Everything is currently highlighted in green. Everything is currently selected, as you can see here at the top left. And we'll change the 8mm drawer box default is TFL2 because our 8mm drawer box does not come in white. Next is Gray Authentic Oak, and let's keep it to Gray Authentic Oak. Finish structure, we'll change it from TFL1. We can click the drop down, click on TFL2, and we'll go to the next default, which is Gray Authentic Oak, and we'll leave it alone. This process can take a little bit of time if your design is quite large. We recommend that you don't have your render up. Whenever you're making property changes, design changes, it's always best to actually exit out of your render so your program and computer can run a little faster. We'll keep the structure to TFL2 with Gray Authentic Oak. And next is Drawer Front Profile. By default, everything is in Euro flat fronts. And we can change it to a Brooklyn aluminum door, a 5-piece shaker, 5-piece glass shaker, or we can subtract the drawer front depending on the application. We'll change it to a 5-piece shaker. Now it's 5-piece shaker. The next line item is pull option. All drawer boxes come with no handle. We can change it to push to open, or we can change it to one of our actual handles. And all these handles come from HAFLA. Let's change it to 160 matte black pull handle. And now we have all our drawer fronts to the 160mm black handle. Next, below that is our finished drawer fronts. We're going to select TFL1, change it to TFL2, and we'll keep it to Gray Authentic Oak. So once again, we have our 8mm drawer box. I've changed the properties on that. We have the finished structure, change the properties on that. And then the drawer fronts, we have the profile, the handle, the main TFL category, tier 1, 2, or 3, or 4, and then the actual subcategory of the actual color choice. Everything from slides, options, all the way below, we typically leave that alone and leave that at all defaults. We'll click on OK. We'll let that render. Click on perspective view. And we'll let that render a little more. And now we're starting to beautify everything. So we still don't have lighting, but we have somewhat completed the actual design itself. Click on the actual exit out of the render. To beautify it, let's add some lighting. The best lighting, in my opinion, is going to be through your local browser. You can use your cloud browser and type in lighting. However, it's going to give you a plethora of different options, and sometimes simple is best. But if you like, there's different types of lighting, depending on the catalog that you choose. There's a lot of hood lighting, and anything that says lighting will populate in this field here. To make things easier, in my personal opinion, it's best to actually go to use your local browser. Currently, it's selected as Perfect Fit Canada US catalog. I'm going to click on the drop-down button, and I'm going to find Room FUR. So that's Room FUR. We'll select that local browser. This is a sample catalog that's already preloaded in your 2020 designs. In Room FUR, I only have one option, which is lighting fixtures. Well, let's double-click lighting features. And I have a whole plethora. I have desk lamps, table lamps, floor lamps, suspended light, recessed, ceiling light, and so forth. So there's a lot of different types of items that you can use. My two favorites are going to be my ceiling light and my recessed light. Some people like to either put a floor lamp, like you could put a floor lamp as well. Let's see all the different options. We can see that we have a little intricate design there. We've got a cone. We've got a twisted shade. Let's use that for now. Let's extend my wall here. And let's go ahead and add this twisted shade. Let the design populate. Once the design's all caught up, I'm going to left click, drag it into my top view. I'm going to go off screen and let's drop it in here like so. Let's add a couple more. Let's go into my lighting features again. Let's go into ceiling light. My favorite right here is the ceiling light 3 light track. I'm going to drop it in off screen, drop it, and now I'm going to rotate it so all the heads point toward the actual closet. Now I can left click, drag it in, and I'm going to put it right to the very front. Do that again, drag it into the off screen and drop it. Now I can right click, rotate, so all the heads face one way toward the actual closet. And we'll put it right here. I could also add more lighting if I wanted to. I would like to highlight the actual painting as well as the actual aloe vera plants. So we can go back to our lighting features, and the second item that I like to use is a recess lighting. And under recess, I have spot recess. It gives a fantastic curb appeal. So let's left click. Let's go drop it into off screen. And whenever we say off screen in the 2020 webinars, it's always going to be not in the elevation view, not in the placement view. It's completely to the side. Let's drop it in like so. Once I've let go of my mouse, now I can go ahead and reinsert it and start adding it in there. I'm going to put one right atop the aloe vera plant. Let's drop another one off screen, drag it, put it to my other aloe vera plant. And let's do that a few more times, and let's add it right into the front of a few of our modules. So left click off screen, then drag it in. Left click off screen, let go of your mouse, and then drop it in. Left click off screen and drop it in. I have all my ceiling lights at the very top, as you can see right here. And what I'm going to do is this center one here, I'm going to drop it a little lower. So I'm going to highlight this guy right here. I'm going to drop that one right below this field here, just to beautify the actual design. Right click, up and down, and I'm going to drop it. So it's put right here, completely for decoration. And this is not actual. This is not our product. This is just the local browser adding some decorations and light. Now that I've added all my lights, let's click on our perspective view. And we'll let that render. Give that a second there. Again, because now we're adding lighting, we're adding decorations and so forth, we have to let the program give it some time to start populating and rendering. It also depends on your computer. Some computers are a little faster than the others. Some got a little faster speed, faster processors. So depending on your computer speed is dependent on how fast this will render. So I have now beautified it. I've added some lighting at the very top. You can see the actual recessed lighting, and it gives it that little curb appeal. And you can see right here where my mouse is, I've added lighting right above the hutch to kind of give it that little wow factor. So we can see the two different styles on our side view. The first two modules that I made on the left are 14 inches deep. Let that render for a second there. 14 inches deep, all half drilled. And I've got nice shallow drawer boxes. The other point is this style here, number 2. This is the Hutch style, where I made a module on the left, a module on the right. I had a different module on the lowers, and then I have one shelf here, second shelf, and third shelf, and all I did was join the two modules together. That avoided all collisions, and you can see there are no holes here because I've made this one half drilled, and there are no holes here because I've also made that one half drilled. See from the side view. And now we have really created an upper and a lower portion, and this is fantastic for Hutch. So again, if this is a nice style for your client, you can certainly change it and make it a little bit less expensive. Change the tops from 1.5 inches thick to 3/4 inches. But if they do want to spend a little more extra money and they do want to see that little aesthetics to make it a little thicker, you certainly can. So just giving everybody some ideas on what you can and cannot do just to beautify it. So you can see the extra few minutes that we've spent by adding the lighting, by adding in our painting, and adding in our plants really helps beautify it. And we also added in a shirt right here. So the differences between not adding it and adding it for the extra couple minutes really does take shape, and it really does help the sale of your closet or your application. So as always, if you need any further assistance, you can always email us at support@perfectfitcanada.com. Thank you very much, everyone.